Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Just before we start our show, I have a very, very special guest on my show today. Freddie. Hi. Okay, I was looking in the wrong camera, but I have him to tell me, so that's great. Have Freddie. Freddie, okay, hi.
Hi, Sally.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome to the show. It's called Call Me Zena. And today Sally is going to also talk with some of our producers in studio. We're going to ask you questions as well.
Great.
And if anybody out there is watching, Sally, want to ask a question, what's the phone number?
No, not when I get into my, just to explain to the audience, I do get into some type of trance. So it's very difficult for me to even give my email out, which over the year, now a year and a half, you realize that, Freddie. So please call in. The number is
888-994-4995. You got to check off Studio A. If you go to Studio B, nobody's going to pick up. Studio A, 888-994-4995.
Just to explain a little bit about that, I'm even unaware that I'm actually in a trance, but it happens with the first question, and you have already done the opening, so I'm right where I'm meant to be right now.
Well, the object of the game here is that you're going to ask questions about yourselves, something that associates with you. You can also ask questions about your loved ones or people that are connected to you, whether it's a kindred spirit, an arch enemy, it doesn't matter what it is, and you want more insight, and the guardians will talk to Sally, and then Sally will
Well,
translate.
actually what happened, and I suddenly realized, I've been calling myself the show, Call Me Zena, but I actually got the message, is that my guide is Zena. I've been saying that for a long time, but I didn't even realize that. They said, call me Zena, because I'm channeling Zena. And I just realized that last week.
I thought you were channeling Ardo.
Well, I'm channeling Aldo, but just to explain that, and I think maybe we can talk a little bit more about that on the show. Zena is the one that's answering the questions. It's no different than we're sitting here in the studio. They're doing the same thing, but the person I'm actually talking to through them is me. I'm calling myself Zena, who is, I can say my higher self, but who is there with Aldo and many of the other guides that are here with us.
And it's important that people come to the realization that sometimes you ever walk down the street and you have a voice in the back of your head that sends you like a message about, oh, did I forget this, did I forget that, can't find my keys, and they're standing right in front of you. All of these things are little known facts of what happens every day in front of us as messages, correct?
Exactly, Freddie. That's exactly what it is. We hear things, we see things. I often say, if you're daydreaming, they're talking to you. So again, and I always say this, I'm not different to anybody else. Many people do this, many people channel, but actually everybody can do that. But once you become aware of it, and it happened to me very suddenly, I had no idea I could do this, but I am channeling, and my entity is Zena. But Zena is with a lot of people, which we would say on the other side of the veil or on the other side. So that's how I'm able actually to answer questions. And I've also questioned myself. I can only start my questions with a question. My answers, with a question, because they get themselves ready and prepared to answer that question. It might not just be one person, it can be 3 or 4 people sitting on the other side as we're sitting here in the studio. It's no different. It's just that we don't see them. I hear them, don't necessarily see them, but I do hear them.
Now, we asked Sally today, we were talking about the theme for the show. We were asking about how is it that you can be one person one moment, become somebody else another moment, and how does the guides get involved with that decision making?
Well, so it's the same process as here. So when you ask the question, if we're going through something, we hear things. So if we need help, although we don't always understand that, they are here to help us. So if we're going through a particular problem, that's why you always say, listen to your gut feeling. I know it's not quite the question that you asked, and we'll go into that, but it helps us to listen to our own intuition. Having said that, and I think, and I don't usually discuss the questions, but I know where we're going with this, that sometimes when we least expect it or we're going through a lot of problems, other guides come in. That's good and bad because they also play games with us. So if that leads into some sort of question that I feel that you want to ask me, we can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Well, the producers I have in studio, because they don't know you as well as
Right,
I do,
right.
and they may have questions that are going on
Okay.
in their own lives. I don't know, Victoria, you have one?
Sure. Like for me, I like the guy. Like I don't know if it's the guides, but like I feel like I get into like cycles, or like sometimes even bad cycles. Like I have like a person that I always go back to, but like they're bad, but like it's like I just can't like run away from them. So I don't know if like I'm meant to be
Actually,
with them or like
yeah.
what's happening.
I just met you for the first time, Victoria, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that you actually are hearing a lot of things. You are psychic. I think you're aware of that, actually. I don't think this is a big surprise to you, but you have guides. In answer to your question, when you say bad, they're tricksters, so to speak. You know, they play games with us, and you have someone that is playing games with you. You may think something, and then something happens that you're getting a message that you should do it the other way. I think I'm right in saying this, I'm not sure. And then you get a little confused because you said to yourself, but this is the way that I'm going to do that. First of all, my main answer to what you're saying, and I'm feeling this very strongly, go with your own feeling, what you want to do. We do get guides, which is very similar to how we were going to carry on this conversation, that play games with us. You have to be aware that that is. If you really feel deeply about something, go ahead and do it, okay? You'll know if it's right or wrong because you have guides that are helping you too, and they're going to help you through that process, if that makes sense to you.
Okay. Thank you.
It's really ironic that exactly the question you asked is what today's theme is all about.
Absolutely.
The voices, the feelings, and then she even called them bad, which is even deeper than me saying good or bad. I didn't distinguish them.
It's incredible how this works because what happens, just as I'm understanding this too, we're on a certain vibrational energy. I don't often talk about what the show is going to be about. However, we had a very small conversation exactly what you just asked, that we were going to make this the topic of our conversation.
Correct.
See how that works? It's validation for us. They're here. It's like they're in a circle too, just like we're here too, but we can't see them. I have the ability, which I've learned now over the years, to be able to contact them and they can contact me. So they have the people that are able to ask these questions to give me the answers right there on the other side of what we would call the veil. So they're there. That's why you came up with, it's not coincidence that you're sitting here asking the question that was going to be the topic of our conversation here. See?
Now, do you understand when she says that you have ability, you have vision? Do you know what that means?
I think she has.
Ish. Like it depends.
What do you ever see things or vision things on other people, other
I don't
instances?
see things, but
You hear, right?
like. I don't know if I hear. It's just like a feeling. Like sometimes I get like a gut feeling that something's happening, and then like I figure out it is, cause like I tell someone, and then they're like, "Oh my God, like, yeah, you're right."
But do you ever listen to these feelings?
Yeah. Like my brother went away. Like he was like in Mexico because his like wife is from Mexico, and like I just got like a bad feeling that like something happened to him, and I told my mom, and then we talked to him, and there was a hurricane or like a tornado or something in Mexico, but like he was okay. But like in the moment I was like, oh my God, something's happening. And then I was like, he's okay. And then like they called him and that's what happened. So I was like, oh, okay.
I just need to explain that to you, Victoria. You know, and I'm very bad with names, but for some reason I'm definitely remembering your name, okay? This is not coincidental that you're sitting here, and I feel very strongly that you are definitely given messages, okay? This fact that you even knew the theme of our show, just to make you aware, it's not
She
scary.
didn't know the theme.
She did not know the theme, and you actually mentioned the theme of what our show was going to be about. And I never talk normally about this. I like the questions without knowing what I'm going to, because to me it's more validation. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I happen to remember that, Freddie, as you had pointed out. So you're here for a reason right now, just to let you know, open up a little bit, if that can help you a little bit, to what you hear in your head. I'm not saying, I don't necessarily see people. I can see maybe their hair or something, but I do hear because I listen. I'm no different to anyone else. We can all do this, but I think you've touched something and you're aware of it today. So be aware, that's all. You don't have to understand it right now. It doesn't matter. Just be aware of your gut feeling, okay? Thank you.
So then my question leads to the same theme that she brought up. How is it that having those thoughts or having those emotions, how does that interfere or not interfere? And I heard a lot of free choice and free will. But then if you have all this free will, just like she just said, you're having all this guidance and you're going to follow that guidance. When does the free will begin?
Well, again, follow your gut. That is basically our free will because they're telling us something. But we can question that too, and I understand that too. You say, you're telling me something to do, but I don't feel good about it. So you follow that route. If you're right and you're following your gut, you're usually right. We are given messages, but we have to be aware. First of all, we have to be aware that we're being given messages. The only way that we can interpret that is if we're following something and we don't feel good about it, or we feel good about it. They are definitely helping us, but we don't understand that. The dimension that we're in is what I would call, without going into it in detail, a slightly lower vibration to where they're coming from. So I would say they know best. However, having said that, we do get tricksters, people that are trying to lead us in a different direction. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, which you were saying bad. It's just the way our life is, to create that balance. So I respect what you said. You are getting sometimes bad vibrational energy, but we need that to create a balance, if that makes sense.
But why would you need a trickster to create balance?
Because they're going to try to lead us in a different direction. We have to still go deep into ourselves. What we feel, if we're doing something and we honestly, truly feel that we're doing the correct thing, go with it. Now it's hard sometimes because we can get people coming in and say, nah, don't do that, it's not going to work. But go with your deep inner gut feeling. If you, like what I'm doing, I've started later in life to do this. People say, why are you doing this? You could sit at home, I can go on my cruises, I can do this and I can do that. I'm being led, Freddie, very much to do this. I don't need to do this right now. I know I have to. I know I'm helping people. So I am following what I'm being told and it makes me feel good. So if it's making me feel good, I must be on the right track, if that makes sense a little bit. So that happens not just to me, it happens to everybody. And you can get people coming in and say, don't do that, you're not going to succeed. Doesn't matter. If you feel it's going to succeed, then that's what's the right journey for you.
Can your gut feeling change? Like for me, sometimes like I'll feel good about something, but then like a couple hours later, I'm like, no. Like
you'll get helpers, but then you'll get, I'm going to say, which I haven't often talked about, people that are trying to trick you into doing something. Still have to go into, I say meditate. I'm not a great one to meditate. It just comes to me if I feel good. If you feel that you're on the right track, truly feel, go into it. You even get messages in your sleep. Follow what you're doing, because you will get people along the way that will try to say sidetrack you a little bit. Stick with what you're doing. But the way to know to do this and why it works this way is if you continue and everything seems to be going right on your path, everything you're doing with what you want to do, everything is falling into place, you know you're on the right track. However, if it's not falling into place and you keep getting obstacles in your way, then you have to question it, because maybe it isn't the right path to follow.
Got it. Thank
You
you.
understand it? Thank you.
Yeah.
I think very much so that this is, I believe in there is no coincidences. We just met a few seconds ago, actually, but I feel very much that you needed that message. Am I correct?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you are. But you're also very intuitive, okay? I want to let you know that too, okay?
Thank you, I think.
You may not see
Well,
it
she
now.
doesn't know what to do with
That's
that.
okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
I kind of just
But she's not here
like,
by accident.
leave it. Yeah. I'm
Okay,
not-
but we'll leave it at that. That's okay, but I'm glad I was able to give you that. I was able to tell you that.
Well, the part that intrigues me is the part that she says she feels one way, and then she actually questions that she felt that way and says, okay, I don't want to feel that way. So there is the choice, again, that you talked about before.
Right,
But my
right.
question that I had at the beginning of the show, why does it come about?
Well, because we have interference, just like we have here. It's interference. They can do that. But I feel that for myself personally, I feel that I'm very protective, because if anybody who's watching my show, we know about Aldo. So he used to tell me about that. He used to protect me in life. He's protecting me in spirit. So if I feel that I'm doing the wrong thing or something just doesn't feel good to me, I have to kind of step away from that. I trust that. Everybody has, and we had a show, everybody has an Aldo. So your first instinct and what you want to do is usually the correct instinct. However, as we go along and the path is showing us everything's going wrong, then we have to question it.
Does confidence play a role in this coming about, or it has nothing to do with it?
Confidence? Well, the only confidence that I can actually say is of ourselves. I'm pretty, because I've had a little bit of experience now. I've been on the show for a year and a half doing this. I have confidence in what I feel for myself. Did I always have that? Probably not, because the awareness is what's important, the awareness. And then your confidence in what you're doing has a part in it, yes. If you feel good about it, that's where your confidence will come from.
Sally, do you think that you've gotten better at your trade over time, and why?
Yes, absolutely, because practice makes perfect. From what I know now to when I first met you a year and a half ago, I wasn't even sure I could do this show. I have no feelings of, I know that I'm able to, because they're coming to me. From day one, I felt that. Did I actually have complete confidence in this? No, I did not. I didn't know. I came on with another guest of yours. I wasn't sure. But the more I've practiced this, I'm not going to say I've got better, because it was always there. And I don't have too much ego in this, but I feel very confident that I'm going to go out and speak to an audience of 200-300 people. I don't mind, because I know that they're helping me. I know that, I feel that. So it's not just me, anybody that's doing anything. If you have that inner confidence in yourself, go ahead and do it.
Talking in front of 200-300 people, does that change what's going on with the people involved and you?
No, not at all, because it's me. They're talking to me. If I sat down and said, "Oh my gosh, they're telling me I have an audience of 200, 300, 400 people," and I put my mind into that, me personally, Sally, not Zena, going, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to do that." But today, that doesn't cross my mind at all. People are saying, "You don't worry if you're going to speak maybe to 1,000 people." No, I do not, because I trust that they're going to be there for me, that I trust that I'm doing the right thing. It can be any of us out there that are thinking that. As long as you have that, which I love the word confidence in yourself, you will be okay, absolutely okay. I don't care, I will do that. Long as the only thing that I need is that first question, then I can continue.
And the questions lead your path as to what it is that you're supposed to deliver? Is that what's going on here?
Well, it's not just me that's doing this. Freddie. The questions you're asking me are questions that you're meant to be asking me. So it's not just me involved in this. I am what we call an instrument that's getting the answers through someone else. It's not me. My friend Margaret, if you're listening, hi. But she says to me, how do you do this? You answer immediately. I'm not even aware that I'm doing that, but I'm getting help, just as you are to ask me the questions, just as you are, and just as I know you haven't said too much, as you're sitting there. This is not coincidence. It's been arranged. So whatever questions you're asking me are the right questions for me to answer. I get the answers. I don't know all this. I don't know, but I'm able to do this because I've tuned into it.
So you can't ask a wrong question.
No. And I'm only as good as, and I tell that, Marita, hi, I know you're listening too. I'm only as good as the question. So you have the same ability as you're doing this. You're being led to ask me the question. Marita too. We've worked together for, my voice is going, for a long time, and she has the questions. I can't answer and tell her what's going on unless I get that question, and she can certainly attest to that. We've talked about many things, not just personal of what's going on in the world, but she has the same ability because she's being led to ask me the question. That's how it works.
If people want to ask a question, you want to call in 888-994-4995, Studio 8, and you can ask any question, I'm assuming.
Any question. I have no problem with that. I can answer a personal question, what's going on in the world, a premonition, because I have the confidence, and I love that you brought that up, that I'm going to be able to answer it. Again, it's not out of ego. I'm being led to be able to answer this.
Correct. My goddaughter, my niece, is actually going to have her second child. She's 7 weeks pregnant. Can you tell me how that's going to end up?
Okay, and I'm not here, obviously, to frighten anybody with bad premonitions, but she needs a lot of rest. Please tell her that. She needs a lot of rest. I often don't go into too much on the future of this, but I go into the now. Right now, it's great, congratulations. Just tell her that she needs to not, does she run around a lot, doing a lot of things?
I don't know. I think she's a school teacher, so yeah, I think she does a lot on her feet.
So be aware that she has to be aware that she's carrying a baby, okay? So just rest. I'm not predicting anything bad, but just tell her right now she needs to rest, okay?
I can do that. I can let her know that she has to take better care of herself.
Take it easy a little bit. Yes, absolutely. And again, you know, I'm not someone with all this negativity. I'm not seeing anything because I block it out. But for right now, and that's what I concentrate in and what's happening right now, is that whatever she needs to do, she's being pulled in a lot of ways, I feel. She can't do everything. She can't do what she was doing before. She's carrying a baby, and that's very much what I'm hearing, okay? So just tell her, take it a little easy, that's all. She's entitled.
I'm sure she is. You have something?
Yeah, what would you like tell people who are closed-minded and don't really believe this? Like, how would you kind of reassure them or tell them?
Thank you for that question, because obviously I get that a lot. People say, what are you talking about? Okay, I try to do this through example. I was that way maybe 20 years ago. I didn't believe in reincarnation. I was getting messages, but I couldn't understand it. I opened up because I actually have art that I couldn't draw, and that was one of my first messages, to go and get some art. I tried to do this by example. I tried to explain what happened to me. I'm not telling you or anybody you have to believe this, but I can only tell my story, and I completely understand that people don't. But we need to open up. And as the world is going on, and there's so much going on in the world today, just try to start off with a lot of perseverance and positive thinking. That's all. That's all. If I just tell people to think positive, it'll work. It does work.
Yeah, I'm just like kind of listening to what you're saying, but
no, that was, I thank you for that question,
yeah,
because it's what's on a lot of people's minds. Obviously, it was on my mind too.
Yeah.
But thank you. That was a good question.
Are you talking about personally in your life or just in general?
I mean, it for me, like, I haven't obviously believed in it as much as you have because I haven't really put the time in. But like, I mean, it's hard for me to believe it because I feel like part of it is like just like these things that come up and are like coincidences, but a bunch of them, and it's like 50-50 because I feel like there could be a god or a spirit telling me that like this is the right thing to do. Like, for example, my rabbit died like Friday or Saturday this weekend, and literally after I got the call, this bird came up to my foot and was pecking at it, and I'm like, could it be my rabbit? Could it be my rabbit from heaven telling me, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm still in your life even though I'm not present? Or could it be something completely different? And I mean, I know pet rabbit is a little ridiculous to think of, but like it's like stuff that, like, when you don't think it's possible, there's stuff that makes it feel like it's possible.
That's a good question, Sally.
Yeah, I'm just going to say thank you very much for that because it explains to the audience certain things. Don't necessarily, I'm not telling you believe everything I'm saying, but keep an open mind. That's what's very, very important. I started off that way. And I today honestly can say, from my point of view, there are no coincidences. I look back and I've written a book and I'm writing another book on all the things that have happened to me, which at the time were unexplainable. I said, how did this happen? But it was trying to open me as a person to understand that there is much more. I'm going to say, you know, a higher power, whatever it is. We need to, and our world is very difficult right now, but we are opening so much more. I do believe in reincarnation, so I didn't, so I can understand what you're saying. I said, no, what do you mean we come back? But I've had so much validation for myself through my art. I was drawing things from previous lives. So it opened me. Do I expect everybody listening to have an open mind? No, it takes time. But we've got to turn it around slightly. And then you'll see amazing things happen. It's not coincidental. Thank you for that question.
No problem.
It's an interesting question. I'd like to do a follow-up on it.
Yes.
Coincidence versus belief. The two of them clash because a lot of people will say, no, I don't believe in that. That was a coincidence. And then it happens again and again and again and again and again. So is it coincidence or is it the real deal?
It's the real deal, Freddie, but we don't see it because we've been so, I'm not going to say brainwashed, but we're so wanting to believe in one way. So it's very hard for us to turn that around. But and I was very stubborn, just as stubborn as a lot of people listening, and they had to knock me on the head and say, you can draw, you can do this, Sally. So eventually, it didn't happen overnight, although I had situations that. So it's just changing our point of view. It's changing our belief system. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not. But once you start to change that, I know we're heading towards a commercial right now, so we can continue in a few
I believe
minutes.
she has a phone call also.
Oh, I have a
All
phone
right, so
call.
let's do the commercial, and then we'll take the phone call
Okay.
right after the commercials. Don't
Thank you.
go away.
Thank you. See you on the other side, as I always say. Thank you. Of my
A
show.
true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
My story starts at 4 or 5 years old. My name is Sally Barnard, and I was born at the end of the Second World War, in the middle of an air raid siren going off. My parents were in a movie theater, and my mother went into labor. My father ran out of the movie theater, but there was no cabs to be available because everybody is running for cover. However, they found one, and the taxi driver was given the address to take my father and my mother to the hospital. As my mother was in labor, about a half an hour, I arrived at exactly midnight. I think I was fed messages at a very early age. My parents used to like to play cards, and they had a card game every Wednesday or Thursday night at home when I was a baby. And I actually said to them one day, why do you keep waking me up at night? The card game is waking me up, and I can't get back to sleep so quickly. And they looked at each other and they said, we're not really waking her up. They were quite away from my bedroom. And they called in a psychic to say, what in the world is going on? And the psychic said that I'm getting many messages that are waking me up at night. I thought whatever I was experiencing, other people were experiencing too. You don't know until you realize that you are different. Many things were happening to me, things that were unexplainable to me. What I had dreamt was happening. I could sense many things, and the things that I was sensing were coming about, but something was going on. I will explain to you everything. You're ready.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book and artwork by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show.
Hi, I'm here. I think we have a caller, or we're going to discuss something first.
We're going to let everybody know that if you have a call, we have a caller online. We're going to bring her on in a second. But you have a call, 888-994-4995, Studio A. And you can ask Sally anything that you want to ask if you're comfortable in the way of doing it. All right, so let's get the caller on, please.
Hey there, Sally. It's your friend Peter, the psychic.
Hi, Peter. What is your question today?
I got a question for you. I
Okay.
just had a successful weekend of dealing with a new bank and money, and now all of a sudden another bank has come after me to steal $22,000 out of my Bank of America account. I'm working calmly and aggressively with Bank of America. What else do you suggest I should do, and what do you think is happening?
Well, you're aware of your problem here. This is, without knowing all the details, and I don't necessarily have to, Peter, but just be very careful, as I know that you are. So I don't really know. I mean, it's not a great question for me to answer because I'm not sure. I just want you to go with caution, which I know that you are. So continue with the way that you are, and you do check everything. We were talking about tricksters a little while ago. If you've been listening to our show, sometimes we get that gut feeling that something isn't right. So my advice to you is definitely look into this, okay?
Yes, thank you very much, and
You're
you sound
welcome.
fantastic.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you.
You know, during the commercial break, we were talking to Victoria, and I was asking her, how does she know that she's sensing something? Can you hear it? Is it words? And I think you said you can't hear it, you just feel it.
Yeah.
So how do you decipher feel?
No, like you just feel like something's off. You know, like when you I don't know, like
But you
just,
shouldn't do it off or shouldn't talk about it?
No, it's
or-
not like I shouldn't do something or shouldn't do something else. You just feel like something's like messed up, like something bad is happening, but you don't necessarily know what it is. But then you think about it, and then you know what it is.
It's like dreaming and then it happens?
Yeah, that is from like when I was younger. Like I used to I barely dream, because if I dream, it comes true. So I only dream like not a lot. Like I barely dream.
Well, you actually do, but you've chosen not to remember it. So if you do start to dream and you wake up and you have a feeling, you have some idea of what you're dreaming. This is how it started with me, actually, through what I call dreams. I wrote it down. So you are getting messages. We all get messages, but I think you're more aware than some people that you know you're getting messages in your dream, because you say sometimes they come true.
Yeah, like a lot of my dreams, like I'll dream something and then like it takes sometimes a while. Like some dreams I have like a year ago and then it just happened now. Or like something like that. Like it'll like take a while. But then I have like other dreams where it's like I dream it and then like the next day like the same thing that I dreamt happens. And it's kind of like you feel like it's deja vu because you're like, oh my god, like I already like did this. But it was just a dream.
But everything that she is saying is what I've actually talked about on my show. This is not coincidence, right? Here, you haven't listened to my show. This is the first time you've even been here. You happen to be on my show. But I have talked about a lot of what you're saying. We get messages in dreams. We don't always remember our dreams. My whole story started with what I thought was a dream. So I'm going to say again, write down. You're getting see how to explain it a little bit, and this is a little bit complicated, but everything is happening in what we call our now. On the other side, just to let people know that are listening, and it's hard to comprehend, of course it is, because we've been taught one way. We have everything happening. There is no time on the other side. So the best that I can try to explain that is that we see the past, present, and future. Don't have to believe it, but just know that you're aware that that's what's going on. So that's how people are able to have premonitions, because they're not necessarily seeing into the future, but they're seeing what's happening. We have what we call, we have time here. So we have organized it past, present, and future, but it's all happening. And I see that we have a question right now.
Can you see that?
Zena, can you explain the connection with all that is?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, thank you, Marita. Hi, Marita. I love that. We've had, and Marita, just to let you know, we do talk a lot during the week. All that is all that it is. Everything, and just what I'm saying, actually, and if you were in, and she had given the question before I had given the answer, it's all happening. And I know, Marita, you understand what I'm saying. It's all happening within what we call our now, the past, present, and future. That's all that there is. So we're here on this planet, on Earth, what we call Earth, to learn. We have developed time in our planet. So what we think is the future has actually happened. This is very complicated, and I understand that too. But it's all happening. That's how we get premonitions. That's how we know deja vu. We feel that we've had that feeling before. Because let's say that this is a dream, and we're now tapping into our dream, but we've put limitations on that dream, past, present, and future. That's the only best way that I feel that I can explain it, and that's how they're telling me. That was an excellent, once again, excellent question. And thank you, Marita, too, because that's exactly what we're talking about. I think we have another question.
You have another caller?
Tracy asks, do you know my spirit guide's name or names?
Hi, Tracy. Okay, I'm getting Alfonso. I don't know if that's someone you know, but there is an Alfonso in your life, which sounds Italian to me. I don't want to give my thoughts into this, but there is someone around you called Alfonso. If that means anything to you, or if it was a relative or somebody that was in your life, I'm getting the name Alfonso.
Interesting, Tracy. And Simon, did you have a question?
I did, but it kind of left my head. But it's all very interesting what you're
Thank
saying.
you.
Because
Thank you.
it's like when you hear someone say it and really explain it, it's like really goes into depth of what you're dreaming about, how you feel after you wake up, and I mean all the aspects to it. And I mean, for an example, like I think in like 2015, my grandmother died, but the night of my grandmother's death, I had a feeling that like my dad was going through pain. It's his dad's mother. And so I woke up and went to his room, and I didn't hear him crying. I didn't hear him talking to my mother. But I went up, and it turned out she died. And I mean, it's once again, it feels like a spiritual, so anyone telling me this happened, this is going to happen, and it's like, it feels like a consequence, but also it feels like a spirit telling me this is what.
And I want to thank you very much for that, because I feel that my purpose in life is to open up to people by example. The only way that I can do that is by talking about it. And the fact that you're sitting here, it doesn't happen overnight in our time, but you begin to see that maybe there is another way. Maybe we are getting messages. Can I prove any of this? No, but I can prove what's happened to me. I know what I've had, which I thought was coincidences. So especially to the younger generation, I love that. I love that you came forward with that example. It just opens your mind slightly to maybe a different way of interpreting what's happening to you, because we're so trained from birth to believe that all this, although we are definitely getting better, the world is understanding much more. We believe that way, that's the way it is. No, I'm telling people the best that I can that there is more. There's more to this than what we see.
Interesting. I wanted to touch on the aspect, if you meet someone, so you have your calling, you have your ways of doing things, and you meet somebody and you begin to get a feel, or you begin to hear whatever the medium is about somebody else. Why does that happen? It's not your guardian you're listening to, you're hearing somebody else's.
Because we're getting messages, and the only way that we can understand or interpret this is to have our feelings first.
But it's the other person's guardian, so you're listening.
Oh, so I'm sorry, I got that slightly
So
wrong.
it'd be like this, and I'm hearing your guardians as opposed to hearing my own.
But this isn't coincidental. I believe that my guardian, whoever it is that's up there, and I know that my spirit is Zena, that's telling me, that's listening, calls in somebody. They're having a conversation, just like we're having. It's no different. If we can just begin to understand that, maybe it's only on the other side of what we call the veil. So my spirit and your spirit, and we can call it higher self or somebody else that's coming in, never left there, Freddie. We're still there. Part of us is still there, which Marita, if you're listening, and I know we've talked and we've had many messages on this, we're there. However, it doesn't mean that there aren't other people there. So they're gathered, just that we are too, that are there giving you the questions to ask me, and I'm giving you the answers.
I get this, but what I don't get is when you meet somebody, let's say for the first time, and all of a sudden they're talking to you and you can hear it. Just like having a conversation with them.
So what you mean when you're outside of here, or you're talking to someone and they're having a conversation with you and you kind of know what's...
Well, you're having a conversation, like let's say Victoria's guardians come in and I'm having a conversation. I'm not a conversation, I'm listening to her guardian's conversation. Sometimes they talk about themselves, or they'll come and they'll talk to me and I hear it.
Okay, because they're all there. Just like, if you look at it this way, the best way they're telling me to explain that is we're sitting in a circle. Whoever is in that circle has, like your guardian or it could be a relative, it could be anybody, is there. They've come together. So we're not only hearing our guardians,
Correct.
we're hearing their guardians.
Yes.
So if you have the ability, and I've trained myself, I'm no different. I've just trained myself to hear their guardians and your spirits and yours too. They're talking to me, and I'm able to interpret that and do it the best that I can for you to understand what I'm saying. I don't understand it myself. Sally can't answer all these questions. If I'm just Sally, I can't do it. But they're helping me. Does that make sense?
Sure, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's another guy that comes in who always says to me, does that make sense? Marita, you know that too.
It's another essence of what we've been talking about,
Yes.
how the multiple guardians, because how many guardians does a person have?
I don't know. Everybody has a lot, okay? But they come in, the ones that are relative, just like here. I believe that you're sitting here, again, not by coincidence. Whoever is here, they bring in. We can have I'm just going to throw out a number. They're saying 15, 20. It doesn't matter. But whatever the subject is, if we say we have 15, to put it in our terminology here on Earth, 15 guardians or guides, they'll say, oh, this is the subject we're talking about. Come on, come in. No different. Just like we can invite people into the studio here on a certain subject that we're talking about. That's no different on the other side. It's no different. They're just more aware because they're in a higher vibrational energy. We come back here to learn that. We forget it when we come in, but we're here all on a learning process to understand and open up a little bit more, because it does make life easier. Life is not easy, but this does make life easier when you begin to see that maybe we are getting help.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you think, like, this is a weird question, but, like, I, like, have this person, and, like, I don't know if I should wait for them or just, like, move on.
So you have someone in your life right now,
Yeah.
but your question
Well,
is,
they're out of my life now, but, like, they come in and out. And I, like, it's like we're, like, connected, but, like, they're, like, bad. They're, like, they're not bad, but they're, like...
well, we're here just to help you a
Yeah.
little bit with this, and it's a little complicated, but we have people say our soulmate or somebody. It's
Yeah.
somebody that we've known from a previous life. We come in, sometimes it can be good or bad, what we call bad. There really is nothing, it's just balance. So whoever you have in your life today, I'm feeling that you knew in another lifetime. You don't have to believe this, but this is what I'm feeling. So you've come here to kind of get everything corrected here. So parts of that other lifetime are coming in where you had this up and down thing with this person, but they're here now. It's up to you too. We don't have to always follow this to correct what was from a previous life. Doesn't always go well. It can go bad, but you're here to settle that and find the balance.
But do you think I should, like, wait for them or, like, just move on?
That's entirely up to you, because we have free will. If you feel overpowered by what's happening in your life with this particular person, and a soulmate, as we call a soulmate, is not easy, because there's a purpose that they came in this lifetime with us. But trust your instinct. You can walk away right now, and you may not be in our time, there is no time, but it might be 10 years or 5 years from now that you're meant to meet again. We're all on a learning curve, and you're on your learning curve. So is the other person. So whether it's now or whether it's a year or 2 years from now, there is a reason that this person is in your life. That's my message for you, to tell you that, good or bad.
Would you say, like, for people who are religious, like, let's say Christians, that they believe in God, or, I mean, whatever religion are you, would you say that's their soulmate, or would you, I mean, that's their angel or spirit?
Okay, what I'm going to say is I don't really like to talk about religion or politics on my, because it's so personal.
Yeah.
So people are one-sided, but that's exactly what it is. Anybody, I'm not telling you, I'm more spiritual. I happen to be Jewish by birth. I don't necessarily follow everything in the Jewish religion because it's religion, but it's what we feel at the time. I'm not here to, it's actually much deeper. It's hard to answer that question. Any faith of any kind, be it religion, spirituality, we're all one. Why are we making it so difficult because someone is not Jewish or someone is not Christian or because they do or do not believe in Christ? Why don't we all come together with this? Why don't we try to be all together in our belief system and know that the most important is to have faith and know that there is something greater than ourselves. We don't have to necessarily put a name on it. And we'll have a peaceful, more peaceful world than it is today.
I'm interested in what Victoria says, do I wait for them? What does that mean, I wait for them?
Because it may not be the right timing. If everything in this, but I believe that this person is definitely, this is what I'm feeling, to be in your life. But it may not, you both need to grow, if that makes sense. You need to do and have your own experiences, just as this other person needs to. Whether you're going to come together, I feel that you are, but I don't know for sure. But it's not now. It's more when you've both grown, okay? But this person will be in and out of your life, because I have a feeling with what we call, and I have a slightly different interpretation on soulmates, we've chosen to come in to continue with what we call karma with that person, and that's why this person is there to help you learn as you are for that other person, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot like of what you say is literally what I tell myself. So it's like very, yeah.
It's not what we would call
What
way
if it
out for
doesn't-
you.
What about if it doesn't work out, Sally?
Well, then it's not meant, well, I'm not saying it's not meant to, but just look at that person as a learning tool. I've had many people in my life like that, and I've moved on. And it's important actually sometimes to move on with a situation that's not necessarily be a friend, be a spouse, it doesn't matter, a child even. Sometimes we learn more actually from the people that are close to us, and that means relatives sometimes. We learn because it hurts us more. You can walk away from a friend and not have the same feeling as walking away from a relative. But it's a learning process.
Then I want to take the show again back to its origin. So you get into a relationship. Some people get married, and they have a relationship. And marriage, the divorce rate is on the way up. So is this a lack of being attentive to each other's guides? Is it just the improper mixture? I mean, I just can't comprehend how so many people can get together to finish the plan and it doesn't finish.
Well, actually, it never finishes, because what we leave here on this particular lifetime, we will carry through to our next lifetime. Again, we don't have to think, oh my God, what's going on? We don't have to necessarily. I happen to, what I've tapped into, and whether it's right or wrong, believe that it will carry over, not even sometimes into that next lifetime. Everybody, be it even someone that you might meet just for a minute, has a purpose and a reason to our life. Depends where we are. We can just open up. And if things are going bad, we need to understand why it's going bad. Again, I'm going to say if things are going bad, walk away sometimes. It's not always easy if it becomes abusive, because nobody, absolutely nobody needs to take abuse. That's something that will carry on into another lifetime too. It's all lessons, whether it's good or bad, they are a lesson.
Sally, Steve says, Sally, you and I weren't meant to meet 24 years ago or 12 years ago like we did, but we were meant to meet 2.5 years ago when we were ready for each other.
Thank you for calling it, well, we're writing in, Steve. Yes, we've had this conversation, and I understand, because timing is what's important. Timing
And
is
you knew
very-
him 24 years ago.
I knew him 24 years ago, but the Steve I knew 24 years ago is not necessarily the Steve that I met recently. But we go into each other's, we come in, and I'm not the only person this has happened to. We come into each other's lives for reasons, good or bad. Everybody, especially if you have a partnership with somebody, there's a reason for that partnership. We can say, oh my God, this isn't working out. Oh my gosh, this is great. There's a reason for that. Absolutely a reason. Be it for a minute, for an hour. I met Steve 24 years ago. We were not in each other's lives. We've combined our lives now, and we are together right now. And there's reasons for that too. I mean, you know, that's another show type of thing to explain that. But thank you for writing in, Steve.
Sally, you have some seminars coming up, I hear.
Yes, I do.
You're going to be talking to some people. What does that look like?
Well, I'm really excited about that, because I'm trying, as you know, this cafe is my home. I love it here. We're trying to get more local people in too. And as I was thinking that, and how do we go about getting more local people, I'm going to be talking in country clubs or retirement homes to people that could then be our audience here. I'm really excited about it. It's not going to start till August, but it's something that I've wanted to do. In fact, I had a premonition about this. This is more to do with what we're going to be doing at the cafe with the Del Rey movie theater. I always, and Marita certainly knows this, I had this vision about 10 years ago of standing on a stage with my artwork behind me. And this is exactly what the Del Rey movie theater is going to do, answering people's questions in the audience. I didn't know at that time that this could ever come about, but I knew I had this premonition. Sure enough, I will be, and we haven't set a date yet, in a movie theater, the Del Rey, with my art behind me answering questions. That's how it goes. That memory's never left me, and I've told many people about that. So that's for me, but anybody else will have these things. If you want something bad enough, it will keep reoccurring in your life, in your dreams, in the way you're talking to people. It's there. It's there.
So that's coming up. So if you want more information, just how do people reach you?
Okay, I have my email, which is sallybernard 1111@gmail.com. I'm here to answer. I got that right. Okay, answer any questions, or if you want to know anything, by all means come into the Brooklyn Cafe. I've been here now for 1.5 years locally. Obviously you're not going to fly in from Australia to come in, but if you're local in Florida, in South Florida, anywhere, I'm going to say from Miami up to Jupiter, please come in. I'm here to answer your questions in the studio. If you like to give the address out.
It's 2400 Northwest? Northeast? Northwest?
I'll just put it on TPS.
And Boca Raton Boulevard, Studio 13. And if you want to come in, Sally's here on Wednesdays. Sometimes you're here on
Mondays. On Mondays.
But sometimes you're here on Wednesdays too.
I'm here Wednesdays, and we're going to be doing another show on art, maybe on a Friday.
On a
right?
Friday. We're going to be taking the show on the road as well. Sally's going to be coming with us.
That would be great. And I'm here, and they've been kind enough to open another studio if anybody wants to come in, and I do personal readings, so come in and join us in the Brooklyn Cafe, and I will do a reading. Obviously, that is not part of the studio. We'll work out how much ever that is going to be, but I'm happy to give readings here too.
It's funny because you're talking to seniors, this, and that. And I think I'm more interested in you talking to young minds, because they're the ones that get confused because they're not experienced as to what's going on with them.
I actually see that too, but also seniors do in country clubs too, because we're nearer going to where we don't know where we're going. So if I can open up to seniors to explain, don't be afraid. I'm not a young person anymore, but I'm here to fulfill my life. And if I can give that message to young people and elderly people, I don't often come out with my age, and I'll say that often, but if it helps people to know that I'm still carrying on at the age that I am, do not give up, because whatever we learn, and I love that because they're telling me to tell you, what we learn now, we never forget. We don't always come out with it in another lifetime, but it'll always be there. As my guide Aldo used to say, it goes into a subconscious and then deeper into another, that's another show, but into our psyche, so to speak. And it comes up when it's relevant. We don't forget what we're learning. We're on a learning process. That's all this is all about.
Excellent, Sally. So that concludes the episode today.
Thank you, and thank you for the few people that called in, and thank you for the studio, that your questions, and thank you, Freddie, for being my guest today.
Absolutely, and we're going to take it to another level. Hopefully next week we'll bring up another subject. And again, I'm intrigued to see how it influences the younger minds. I really found that delightful today.
Yeah, me too, and I'm glad that you guys were both sitting here, and thank you for your questions. I want to thank you very much, because I love talking to younger people too.
All right, say goodbye to your fans.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.